Hello, Twisted Humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked. All right, welcome to a very special bonus episode of Twisted and Uncorked. We have a very special guest with us. That is Liz Collins of Human Seeking Human and Quarter Life Crisis fame. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
So much for volunteering to come on.
Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and what you like.
Sure. So my name is Liz. I am a huge true crime fan. We were just talking about this. I work in marketing, and my old job, I used to have like an hour and a half commute basically, and it was all train buses. I was not that far from my job. It was just public transit being a nightmare. So to stay sane, I listened to podcasts like 24/7. And I'm really into true crime, and I got started listening to And That's Why We Drank with Christine Schiefer, and then I listened to Beach to Sandy with Christine Schiefer and Zandy Schiefer, and then when Zandy Schiefer launched Human Seeking Human, I listened to that, and when he put a call out for co-hosts, I was like, this is my time to shine. I've been recording podcasts and then not releasing them because I'm a little self-conscious. I needed some validation, I guess. And we did that for about 6 months. It was wonderful. The show just recently came to an end. I'm trying to launch a new show. It's a little bit on hold right now. We can get into that later, but other things that I like are rainstorms.
Yes.
Because we don't get a lot of those in LA. My dog, who is so ugly and so cute. He's like a very ugly, cute dog.
I feel you.
And my girlfriend, who's a musician, she's always singing in the other room, and I have to be like, I'm recording.
It'll make for some good ambiance.
Awesome. Yes. Alicia and I first heard of your existence on this earth on the Human Seeking Human pod while we were falling down the Schiefer. Listen to me. I can't even talk now. The Schiefer Sib podcast hole. Yes. Yeah. Like most people. But tell us a little bit about Human Seeking Human. What was that?
Yeah, so the premise was going through old newspaper archives and pulling out personal ads and looking at how, from like the 1800s until now, people have used newspapers to connect. I thought it was such a good premise for a podcast. I love that. I'm very, I'm not like a history person, but I'm a weird history person. I love like weird niches. I still run an Instagram. I changed the name so that it wasn't sort of super podcast centric since the podcast ended, but it's retro_ridiculous. And it's where I continue to put things that I find in old newspapers and old magazines and online that are just, I cannot believe someone found them fit to print.
Yes.
So there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of documentation of bad ideas with titles saying that they're good ideas.
If you loved Human Seeking Human like we did, and you are all about that, definitely go and follow that page, because she posted something recently about, what was it, the shower cap? That made me laugh like way too hard. The like full little mini umbrella. Just keep all
for
of
the makeup too.
Yeah, for the makeup too. Just a full shield.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And she's holding the shower like over her face so that the water is just hitting the cap and not even hitting her body.
She's got to demonstrate that it was a really good idea.
Goodness
Projects
gracious.
in the 70s. Good stuff.
I love the concept of that show. It's amazing. I was super excited to hear when Zandy Schiefer decided to add a co-host, because in the beginning it felt like it always needed a little comic relief, and you were perfect for that. So I'm so glad that you were on the show. It seemed a bit like a hard concept though, especially the honest ads section. The people who send in their honest ads seem to be in a position that they needed to get those things off their chest. And it also seems important for others struggling with the same things to know that they aren't alone. But I find myself, when I do listen to the honest ads, getting a little bit bummed out every now and then. So I'm imagining that probably affected you and Zandy as well. What was that difficult for you? Did it affect your mental health negatively, maybe positively? What was that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because that's something that we did sort of have to work through. And it's always like cool because I don't talk to many people who listen to the show who don't know me.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to like know that you guys picked up on that. I think that it's definitely, the show started with a big emphasis on mental health and on being honest and open and vulnerable. And I think that when I joined, the vision sort of shifted a little bit to maintaining that, but also really sort of doubling down on the concept of going through old newspaper archives and like how funny and interesting and crazy and zany they can be. And I think that when we took that turn, it became a little bit tricky to balance. How do we maintain, this safe space for people to be vulnerable, and also try to make the shift to being more of a comedy podcast?
Right.
I think that at the end of the day, we tried a couple things. I always when I joined, we decided to put a segment at the end after the honest ad to sort of bring things back from such a serious note. It's hard because it's like you don't want to take that away. I mean, it means a lot to have people writing in and talking about things, and honestly a lot of the follow-up emails, I still have them, just people saying like, thanks for validating and making me feel heard and all this stuff. So that was like amazing. You can't put a price on that. That was just like fabulous. But at the same time, it was hard to balance. And honestly, in this pandemic, I think Zandy and I both had our own stuff going on, and it just got to the point where we realized that maybe the show needed to just wrap up on a high note.
Right.
There. And you definitely brought it
how
like to what it was, in my opinion. Like we said, you made an excellent addition. So
it was cool to come in and be accepted. Oh my gosh, I listened to this other podcast, one of the like first podcasts that I ever listened to, was like this like queer podcast that I loved, and it was these two hosts, and they were so funny and they had such good chemistry, and then one of them left and they brought in a new co-host, and the girls were fighting. Like everybody was like, she sucks, she's not funny, you don't even like her, you just brought in some random stranger. You guys, there was like so much in the comments, and their reviews went down, and then the hosts like engaged in it by like just going on it kind of ruined the show, honestly.
Oh my God.
And it was a big fear of mine that I was gonna jump in and people were gonna be like, who is this girl, and everyone was so nice. Like people were going through like the Liz rabbit hole by being like messaging me like, I listen to your girlfriend's music and I love it,
Yes,
your dog is so cute. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just felt very loved and accepted. So that was really awesome.
Aww. Yeah, you definitely were.
Awesome.
I saw that in the reviews too. I also saw a review that said something about Christine being Sandy's wife, and I was like, have they ever listened to Beach to Sandy? Because that's not right.
I think that's funny.
I don't know if you saw that review, but it made me laugh out loud. I was like, what?
I didn't, but I'm gonna find it and send it to him because that's really funny.
That is hilarious.
That's good stuff.
Have
you guys ever gotten a negative review? Oh, sorry.
Not yet. Ratings, yes, but not reviews. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, we have two one
people
star
who
and
don't
one
like us. The people who don't like us aren't brave enough to tell us why they don't like us. So
right? Like you just had to bring us down
I'll
from
leave you
a
guys
5
a
to a
review.
4.8 for no reason.
as long as it's constructive criticism, I don't even care. Leave me a
no.
1 star. Just give me feedback, please.
And it can't even be that
I
your
got
audio
2
sucked at the beginning, because that's every podcast.
Right.
I know, right? No, it's that was a weird feeling for me. We got like 1 or 2 bad reviews, just
really?
like people that didn't love me on the show, and I was like, breathe, Liz, breathe. I worked in politics, so I before this, so I was so used to people like saying things, but I think it's just different when you're creative and you're,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know,
Put your heart and soul
personally,
into it. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
I'd rather have somebody like hate on me for a million different things than have a joke that I tell flop. You know, for
Oh.
some reason that's so
Yeah.
bad. So
I get
it.
it.
Like, she's not funny. I was like, I'm not funny.
well,
I
we
think you're
disagree.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That means so much to me. I've been in
good.
a little bit of a podcast rut with this new show, and I'm just like glowing inside right now. It makes me so happy to hear that.
Good. Well, we're gonna get to that in a second, but first,
Glad my
I need to know,
embarrassment can.
what was your favorite episode or news clipping or thing that you found while you were doing Human Seeking Human?
Oh, I have such a good answer for this. The coolest thing that ever happened in the history of the show. We read an article, like a brief one, about this woman whose like lover murdered her and threw her into a volcano.
Yes.
And her cousin's daughter messaged us like, hey, I'm related to her, and my dad is her cousin, and he has all this information on the story. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah. And the information was crazy. It was like a whole separate story trying to get their bodies out of the volcano because they didn't land in the lava. They like died from the fall. And this is a true crime podcast, so I hope I can just get gory with you. But like, and then they like didn't want to bring both of them, and this like little tiny engineer guy ended up bringing them up, who was a friend of the family. And but then the other thing is, the original story said that it was like a love quarrel gone wrong, and then the correction from the family was like, she was 16, this 25-year-old creep next door wanted her to marry him, and she said no, so he murdered her. Like, don't make it romantic, and don't say, oh, if she had only accepted his advances, and it was pretty cool to see, because they published that in the newspaper too, the letter from the family. I feel like we're still having the same conversation, which is not awesome, but
no, but it's
it
like
was cool to see that they were
like, oh, it sells more if it's a lovers quarrel situation.
That's so crazy. Listen, I always thought that, and I've literally said this to my children, which I probably shouldn't, but they asked. I always thought that if you fall into a volcano of lava, like you disintegrate completely, like there is no more body. Doesn't it melt your bones?
If you think about it, like the edge of a volcano, right? It's like kind of jagged, and then the lava's in the middle.
Depending on how far down.
So it was kind of like they jumped off a cliff.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But the tricky thing was
kudos
when they were
to the men that got them
bodies.
Out.
Yeah. And when they were getting the bodies, it was like they had to, pull like, because so they didn't fall into the lava. There's tons of pictures. It's so cool. I mean, the guy who did it, like, it took him so long, he stopped and ate lunch. Like,
oh my gosh.
Through.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him like eating lunch on this like makeshift crane. It's just cool. And he was like it wasn't his job. He was just a friend of the family who really wanted to help. And I thought that was really cool too.
Crazy.
Badass energy to the extreme. I couldn't go into an active volcano. There's one that's very close to where I live, and it's been dormant now for very long time, but they keep predicting as to when it's going to erupt, and I'm like, okay, but can we have a warning so I can move before then? Like, it's in Washington, the volcano, but I'm like, it's a big volcano. Mount Baker. Anyone's curious.
So my favorite thing about Human Seeking Human was the Way Back When segment, which is what you're talking about. You brought that during the Way Back When segment. And that's like the main information on the Instagram feed now, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, I love it so much. And I don't know if it's because I like history or I'm just a nosy bitch. You know what I mean?
Well, we love
what
fun
was happening in
facts.
your house?
How we start the show
it's-
usually. So
Yeah, it's super cool. Well, so for this, I actually brought to the table a Way Back When article that I found today. And I've listened to all your episodes, so I know you haven't said this one before.
shit.
Wonderful. She did her research.
Yes, it is from the 1950s, and it's a questionnaire in a newspaper. So I'm going to ask y'all the question and let you answer. And then after you answer the question, I'll let you guess the answers that were published, which is probably not hard. The question comes from, again, this is 1950s, from a man named Herman Martin at 125 Broad Street in
I love
New York,
that they
New York.
published fucking addresses.
I know.
Like, yeah, come and murder me, please.
Let me see. Herman Martin asks, if a woman needs it, should she be spanked? So what do y'all think? Should she be spanked if a woman needs it?
Like she's asking
I would say in
for
the
it?
context, no. But yeah, but if she's asking.
Right. I literally wrote, maybe it should say if a woman wants it, should she be spanked? But it says needs. And I don't like that word.
No, that's
No,
a
and I have a
disciplinary
feeling the
term and I don't like it.
context-
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think the responses were?
Yes.
I feel, unfortunately, that they may have been in favor of spanking a woman if she, quote unquote, needs it.
Yeah, so there's 4 different responses, and the responses not only tells the name and the business that the person does, it also shows their fucking picture. So like, I am the one who said this. It was me. Miguel Matos of Brooklyn, he's a counterman, says, why not? If they don't know how to behave by the time they're adults, they should be treated like children and spanked. That ought to make them grow up in a hurry. If it doesn't at first, they'll soon get the idea.
That's the man child.
And he looks great. Frank.
That's nice. So what is he spanking? Like, I guess in
I don't
my
even
mind, I'm
know if
thinking
it's
they're
their own
talking about a
wife.
wife.
Yes.
Right.
But it sounds like, he's like, there's a Karen in the grocery store and he's like, come here, get over here. If you want to act like a child, you're going to get spanked.
Right.
Well, if we're going to bring the Karens to the
worse.
mix, that's a whole other argument. I'm joking.
Frank Desiderio of Brooklyn, a barber, says, yes, when they deserve it, as a barber, I've got a lot of faith in the hairbrush. I think there are certain cases when it is advisable. When it is, there's no reason why you shouldn't go right ahead and do it. I can't knock the idea. In my business, a man sets a lot of store by the result he can get with a hairbrush properly applied. So he's like just hitting people with things now.
I don't think that's what barbers do.
My husband is a barber, so it is
Jesse,
not.
You
Can we-
ask him.
Can we have a consultation here briefly?
We knew this is professional
No,
opinion.
he's gonna take it strictly as, oh yeah, I'll spank you. We don't need it. We don't need it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Teddy Galley of Brooklyn, a parking lot attendant, says, you bet it teaches them who's boss. A lot of women tend to forget this is a man's world, and a lot of men who step down as boss of a family wish they hadn't. Spanking might help get back some of the respect they lost. And I just want to spank him across his face with a hairbrush. So
I was gonna say I'm losing respect for the man with these responses.
Oh, you should. The last one
Also-
is go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, if you've lost respect, like if I lost respect for someone and they were like, I'm going to spank you, I would not be like, well, now I respect you.
Yeah,
That works.
definitely
That's-
not.
Even no.
Oh,
Yeah.
The last one is William Davis of Brooklyn. He is a toy factory owner, and his picture looks like a mugshot. It's really bad. He says,
Yikes.
yes, most of them have it coming to them anyway. If they don't, it will remind them how well off they are. I subscribe to the theory that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So he's like, just hit him all the time. It's fine.
No.
It's ridiculous.
What year was this? What year was this?
It just says
1957.
1950s.
Oh.
I'm just thinking, like, if these guys are around, I want to go to their nursing homes and smack them because of, prevention.
Yeah, well, the barber is
just
definitely
walk in with a list of
hot.
names. You're like, I'm looking for so and so. Have you seen him?
I would show the picture. I'll be like, is this you?
The barber
Right,
is definitely
get
not
ready.
around. He looks like he was on his way out in this picture.
Right.
That last one might be if he's not in jail.
Oh,
Yeah, hopefully he is.
given that
Yeah.
response. Or
Also,
somebody
I'm
not
else
buying your
is teaching
toys.
him about
Right.
spanking in prison.
Imagine you're going to try to buy toys for your kids, and the guy who's selling the toys is just like, by the way, I believe in prevention. Smack.
Yeah.
It's just not appropriate.
Oh God.
I'm gonna take my dollar bill somewhere else.
So spin-off question. Do you think that there was an agenda way back when? And maybe there were actually people who wrote in and said not to hit women, but the newspaper chose not to publish those answers?
Was it allowable to
Yeah.
write it anonymously?
I don't know. These people literally have their pictures in this newspaper.
No. But most of like women's actions were designated by fear back then. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
they could write in and be like, hell no, but is somebody gonna find out
I'm sure
about
there was
it?
I'm sure there was at least one good man that was like, can we just not hit people, maybe? You know? I don't know.
I feel like most likely they just picked the most controversial ones because I imagine even in the 50s, people weren't like, I hope my barber hits my wife with a comb. It's one thing, I think there was an attitude about your wife, but these men saying they'll just smack any girl who walks by for prevention. Like, to me, I think they're trying to be salacious. And I'm not sure what
just
the full
wanted their
definition
picture
of
in the
salacious
newspaper.
is. But I think that salacious makes sense in this context. Yeah.
I agree. It works to me.
What are
I don't know the
men
definition
like? We talk about it all the time on the show. It doesn't matter if it's 2021 or 1950. It's like, why? Why are you doing this?
No one knows.
What is this
no
old
one
school
knows.
way of thinking?
Well, that was a little sneak peek of what Human Seeking Human is like. So if you liked that, definitely go listen.
Yeah,
It's
go
still up,
binge
even
the
though it's not
episodes.
running. Yeah. We are sad that came to an end, but we also know that you have a new podcast now. So tell us about that.
Yes. So I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think I've talked about the backstory of this show before publicly.
Okay.
But
I'd
I
love to
had
know it.
an interview with a reporter at my former college, my alma mater or whatever that is.
So cool.
And I booked it before I knew what was going on, like before we had really decided to bring the show to a close. And I forgot that I had the interview. And then we ended the show and I had the interview and I panicked because it was not public that the show was canceled. It was during our hiatus. And I didn't want to like tell this girl she had no story because she needed a published story. So I was like, well, I actually have for a long time been talking about doing this quarter life crisis podcast. But I was like, yeah, of course, I'm launching this new show. And I talked all about the new show and I gave a release date. And I was like panicking because I knew what I wanted the show to be, but I had not put it into fruition. So then when we like recorded our final episode and made, arrangements, I was glad that I had sort of had that kick in the butt, because now I'm really buckling down on it. I released an episode a couple of weeks ago. I have a couple of episodes and guests recorded that I haven't released, only because I'm thinking about, I'm trying to rebrand. I think that the concept and the format maybe need to change, and I want to kind of lock that down. Even if I release the older episodes in the original format, I just want to have a better direction. And honestly, my day job has been pretty crazy the last couple of weeks, so
yeah,
I'm gonna try to get together what I'm thinking is like a season and put them all out at once, because personally I love a season. I love to binge.
Yes.
So maybe something like that. If you or any of your listeners have any constructive comments or ideas on what would be interesting to include in the show, I would love that, because I think that the interviews are great, but I'd like to be able to put some more, I don't know, just different content in there. So
Yeah.
I'm open to suggestions.
So I listened to the first episode already, but what is the idea for it? So are you itching your eye?
No, but for some people that's really like, ugh, like, why are you doing that?
Oh no, I do eyeliner where I stick the pencil in my eye, so it's fine.
Just rested there, like.
You know what's funny is I would never be able to put contacts in, but that is no problem to me, and it's weird. I'm a weird person, but I just realized now because somebody pointed out that was really triggering to them at work. My
eyes are itchy.
I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I have two bunnies, so no, I gotta stop. I gotta stop doing it now. It's red.
I know you're gonna cry.
No, not yet. That's what your bonus episode this month is for.
Your show is about people who have made it. It seems like, right? People who have gotten to a point in their career where they can say that they have done what they were trying to accomplish. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to put it formally yet, but I just want to talk to people who seem like they have their shit together and ask them,
okay,
have you always had your shit together? You know, where do you put your shit once it is together? You know, does new shit come up? Like, I'm just curious about how and if people can get their shit together.
I love that as a slogan and advertisement, by the way. Where do you put your shit?
This could be a really great, like, depending on the people that you have on, because some people are going to be like, yeah, it's totally together. I'm a professional. This is what I do. But then the really honest people are going to be like, I have 2 kids out there who I'm pretty sure one of them said fuck today. I don't know what to do about it. Like,
you might be speaking from experience.
My daughter came home from school on Valentine's Day with a fucking boyfriend. And then the next day was like, nah, I broke up with him. She's 9. I was like, oh, okay, cool, great, awesome.
After she made him do the splits.
Shit is never together. Yeah.
That's cute.
I think that there's a little bit of, validity to even the title that you have too, quarter life crisis. Like that's part of growing and moving into different stages of your life, is that, growing is messy at times. So I think that's kind of the beauty in living. So I don't think necessarily it's like they have their shit together. It's like, well, my shit's in a tidy pile right now, but when I move to my next point in life, it's going to be fucking spilled everywhere. So I don't know. So I also really like that.
I also really like that for the quarter life, everyone goes through, this midlife crisis or even this quarter life crisis, but no one's quarter life looks the same.
No.
I have 2 kids. Like, I had my first kid when I was 18 and I had another one a year and a half later. I'm 28, so I guess you could call this quarter life. I mean, I guess 25 is quarter life, but and
depends how long you live.
Right.
I'm hoping that's your quarter life. Let's think positive.
But I don't feel like I have my shit together. And then Alicia is also, in my opinion, I don't think you have your shit together either. No offense, but like, we have different struggles. She has no kids.
Hence what that face was.
Yeah, she has no kids. She has a mortgage. I don't have a mortgage yet. I still rent. Like everyone's quarter life is different. And me and her are only 4 days apart. So like our lives are completely different at like the same age. So that's interesting too to me.
Well, I remember hearing this story and like I think I've talked about it before, but it just really kind of blew my mind that Oprah Winfrey got fired from being a TV news reporter.
Right?
And it wasn't like a layoff. They were like, you are not good at your job.
Yeah.
And we
You're
don't
never
want
gonna
you
make
to
it in TV.
be a news
And that's
reporter.
like the ultimate like joke's on you. Like
yeah.
So
but I would be crushed. I mean, I think about, at 25, the encouragement, that you get, all of the, as you go out into the career world, as you, go through things, obviously everything is hard, but I've never had somebody sit down and say to my face, you're so bad at what you're trying to do that I need you to stop. And for me,
it would be
like,
soul crushing for sure.
Yeah. And to me, that idea of like that resilience and like also what the hell do you do? Like, I don't know what I would do. I imagine in my mind that Oprah probably ordered a pizza and drank a lot of beer and like called everybody she knew crying and got a lot of pep talks and then probably didn't do anything for a little while and gave up on her dream and then got back into it. Like, to me,
if you can
I
get
feel
Oprah,
like I want to know
how you
about
did
that in between. Yeah. I'll tell her to guest on your show after she's done guesting on mine.
No, that's a great example. I'm embarrassed.
I'm curious about the in between.
Oprah would hate me.
I want to hear about the like failing and and not just getting up, but like Brene Brown talks about how there's this like moment. Me too. She talks about this moment where like you get the shit kicked out of you and you're lying on the ground and how that's just as important as that moment when you get up. And like that's what I want to talk about, both of those in context with each other.
Yeah.
But I'm struggling with having interviews with people and getting that point across.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to be vulnerable and I don't want to force people to be vulnerable and I'm not sure how to.
Well, I can tell you right now that like as you're saying these things, I am already like reliving those things in my head. Like that I've already gone through and I still haven't made it, but I know there have been so many times when I was down and I was like, okay, I just have to do this next thing. And then that next thing wasn't great, but I was like, I'm almost there. I just have to do this next thing. And I think if you can phrase it kind of like you just did in like a trailer or something like that.
I can send you a little clip of yourself from this video because you kind of captured it perfectly, because that's like what I was like we were both saying, it's like life is messy and that in between is what makes it beautiful, like what you said, that you want to capture that in between. So I think that's incredible.
And Sierra, you said that you don't have your shit together and like obviously no one feels like they have their shit together, but I think that part of the thing is that I don't know if it's me, but I feel like everyone has their shit together but me. Like Alicia has a house with a mortgage and a cute backdrop. You have two human beings that you just made out of yourself and they're alive and going to school and getting dressed and eating hopefully 3 meals a day,
and
but
hopefully
even
not killing their future
that's
boyfriends.
A lot of work. Yeah. And so to me, I'm like, you guys have it together. You know, how have you, and I feel like most of us look at everybody else like that. Totally. And it's just interesting to try to think about. I think
that would be an interesting concept for yourself too, because comparing yourselves to other people is such a natural human, mechanism for, I guess, drive. Like, okay, I want to get there, like that person's in, but I don't know, like we would say you definitely have it together and you're killing it in the media and, making really cool connections. I mean, you survived interviews to be on, Human Seeking Human. So like little successes
of my life
are a way of being like, yeah, I got it together.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do want to ask though, and I don't know if that's something that you plan on putting into this, but do you plan on doing more comedy, maybe another podcast, maybe adding comedy to this podcast. I honestly think you're fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
and I feel like you should be doing some sort of comedy.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it. I think so. I don't know if you guys have ever heard Armchair Expert, but I think that Dax Shepard does a really good job of straddling the line between like having vulnerable conversations with people and also like being fucking hilarious. And that's the goal. I want to be Dax Shepard when I grow up.
Mindset behind that.
Yeah. But it's, it's tough because it's like, I mean, you guys get it. It's hard to keep a conversation flowing in the right direction and be funny and also make sure that your microphone is working and that your notes are set up and that everybody shows up on time. And I'm still my last podcast experience was very different than I think most people's are when they start out, in that I was welcomed onto a show that had a pre-existing fan base with a co-host who told me what microphone to get and told me what software to download and did the audio editing. And I kind of came and brought my personality and, the fun. And then he took care of a lot of the hard things. And the concept was there and the fans were there. Right, so to start from
I would argue that being comfortable in yourself and bringing yourself to the table is the harder part. I would argue that that's the hardest
that's
part.
why
so you killed that. That's what I mean.
Thank you. I think part of my roadblock with this show, and sorry if this is turning into like my therapy.
We're interviewing you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like the best conversation I've had in a long time. Because I want to talk about it, but I'm not. I feel like it's hard to talk about it with people who aren't. People are either into podcasts or they're not. I'm sure you've had this experience of like some people love podcasts and they'll just throw yours on the list and they listen to it and they love all the shows and they know your shows. And some people like head up, like my girlfriend, she loves me. She loves my show. She cannot listen to more than like 10 minutes of any sort of audio recording without being like bored, I listen to audiobooks and and I'm like, that's fine. Actually it's better. I feel a little less, nervous,
self-conscious.
Like,
that's the person you're trying to impress the most.
Honestly. And I'm like, I gave you a shout out, your music a shout out today. And she's like, oh yeah, okay. And I'm like, but she'll never hear it. She'll never hear it.
You should mess with her one day and be like, I should talk to you on this. See if she goes back and listens.
There was one time when she heard me like talking about her on the show and she like wasn't sure what I was saying. And I think she was like a little just like wondering what I said without wanting to confront me about it. And I found her like listening, like scrubbing through the show, listening for her part. And it was like me talking about how I love her. But I also was saying that she's like a short king because she's shorter than me and she wants to be the like tall one. But she thought it was funny and she was like, I should listen to your show more. And then never did. Never did.
Yeah.
But I think that with my show, I think part of the holdup is I think I need to do an episode where I talk about myself.
Yes, I agree.
And I think I need a co-host. And
I don't know specifically if I would say your show needs a co-host. I think I would need to hear more episodes, but I do find it's really hard to podcast by yourself.
Yeah.
Alicia and I on our Patreons do separate, like I do a segment just me and she does a segment just her, and we often like, hey, you want to come on my segment? Because it's so weird to not talk to anybody, Yeah,
and interviewing people, I feel like if I'm trying to guide the conversation to a more vulnerable place, it's hard because it's just me, not me versus them,
right?
But me and them. And I feel like when you're talking to one person, it feels like a conversation. And when you're talking to two people, it can feel more like I'm with a group that are doing something.
Right.
And group settings are a little bit easier to, open up and be a little bit more vulnerable. And I think you proved with Human Seeking Human that you can have a co-host and still have that vulnerability, because you play on the, comic relief and the banter between the two of you, but then you also bring it to a really relatable place. So I think if you were to find the right person to do that with you, I mean, Sierra and I have shifted our show and our concept and our brand as we've gone throughout the last year and a bit. It wasn't all this like ready to go right at the beginning. And I feel like, I don't know you very well, but you strike me as a perfectionist, and we can totally relate to that. Just wanting it to be like shaped and as you need it to right at the beginning in order to feel like you can release it. But I think the first episode was great, and what you guys did on Human Seeking Human was great. So I say just go with your gut and do what feels comfortable and shift as you go. And especially if you do it in seasons, that's good.
I think that would be cool. I think that's like a good way to deal with it. I also have some people in the pipeline, like I'll give you a sneak preview, but I have a couple of friends. One is a trans woman who's, just like beautiful and wonderful and has lived a long life. I'm not calling her old, okay? But she's lived for a long life. She's lived through a lot of things. And then I have another friend who like was homeless and has like built herself from, homelessness and addiction to like being a small business owner. And like,
good for her.
I want to share that. And I think that's really cool. I just really want to do them justice.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, interviews are
the
tough
show
too.
Is out there. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. The show is like out there. If people want to subscribe, things will come. Just please be patient with me, and please wait until I'm more established to give any constructive criticism. Okay. You can leave a nice review, and then when I have like 2 seasons out, you can erase it and tell me what you really think. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now with that show.
Honestly, in the last 45 minutes, how can people not love you just from like how much passion you're throwing behind what you're talking about?
Thanks.
I love you. So serious.
I'm sorry. Listen, we still have a whole crime story we have to tell.
Oh my God. What? Yeah. Should we just jump into the crime story?
Good. No, we want to hear about you. We just also want you to hear what
we're just so excited to have you.
And I just want to say, like, I'm not saying this, like, I'm not like bullshitting. Like, I do want to have both of you on the show. Definitely. I love how you've brought yourself, like your whole selves here. I love this conversation. This has been really wonderful. And I'm gonna put y'all on the list. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so
it's been good for us.
Once every 2 months, we have our listeners pick a topic for us to cover, and this round they picked catfishing crimes. And we just finished recording 2 episodes on catfishers who then went on to commit crimes. But we know that you have talked about being catfished before. So tell us how that happened.
I have a very ridiculous catfishing story. It's not like what you would picture when it comes to catfishing, but when I was a teenager, my best friend and I would play Toontown. Is this the catfishing story that you're thinking of?
Yeah, episode 28.
When I saw that you were like, we're talking about catfish crimes. You have experience with catfish. And I was like, she's not talking about my Toontown boyfriend, is she?
I am 100%.
Okay. And so I mean, the listeners voted for this, so this is just a coincidence.
All right, here y'all go. My best friend growing up, we were so weird. We were not popular, at least our activities were not popular, but we played a lot of Toontown together. He actually has 2 older sisters and a younger brother, and as they've gone to college and everything, they still play like all the time together as a family activity. And I've sort of forced myself into their family, so I get to play sometimes too. But
nice.
When we were in middle school, we would play, and there was this Toon who would join us. Okay. And mind you, you can't play, like, it's not like an online browser game. You can't just like play in a separate tab. You have to have a whole separate computer to have a second character play. Okay. And there was this red monkey, I think it was a monkey or a rabbit, called Nobody, who would like come and like whisper like you're pretty, like all these like weird things. And I was like, oh my God, Dominic, you'll never believe this, and I was like kikiing with him, gossiping about this like person and being like, what do I say, and it was him the whole time.
That's so mean.
I also love how you just referred to it as kikiing.
Oh yeah, well, we did a lot of kikiing about it. Exactly. And I was like, it wasn't, I know you said it sounds meaner than it was. I think it was for the sake of being weird more than like actually trying to trick me. Like it wasn't saying, because so Toontown is like very strict censorship, but every character has their own like thing that they put in place. So if, like my character is a cat, I would be like, what the meow, and it like makes a noise when you do it. And so part of the fun when we were like 12 years old, 13 years old was like, saying things we're not supposed to. And so like he would just sort of like run up and be like, you're meow, and we would be like, he probably said you're hot, and like we would like come up with these scenarios. It was all made up, like start to finish. But he did have me thinking that somebody thought that my extra large rabbit named Augustus Gloopet was hot. So I mean, if I was willing to suspend disbelief that far, I think
speaking my language. So with Chunky Rabbit says I have one biting the White Claw box under my desk.
Oh, that's so funny. I also heard you talk about you talked about that in Human Seeking Human, and also in that episode you talked about Club Penguin. And
Penguin.
I had actually met someone on Club Penguin when I was in like 6th grade.
Who didn't?
And but like we would like call each other on the phone. And
how did you even do that?
Well, I gave him my cell phone number.
I guess.
Yeah, I gave him my cell phone number.
No, but you had to finesse the system. Like you had to hand type like WON for one.
Right.
I remember I would try to do this. It was like you couldn't. It was WON and then next message, because I can't be next to each other. TOO. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember. We never met. Or anything. I don't even know if he lived in the same state, but I was in like 6th grade, and I remember the first time ever he called, I answered it and I was like, what is this number? Hello? And he was like, oh, so that's what your voice sounds like. And I was like, who is this? Like,
was he your age?
Yeah, he was a kid, but I was still like,
I was picturing like a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, I just never expected it to actually happen. I was like, who is this? Oh my God. But yeah, I don't remember like how long we talked or anything, but it was just that one call. I remember vividly him being like, oh, so that's what your voice sounds like. I'm like,
ooh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Shivers.
Yeah, that's
creepy.
Interesting.
And now I have a true crime podcast.
Exactly. It's the origin story.
She briefly brought that up the other day when we were talking about our upcoming episode with you, and she was like, oh no, I'm gonna save it for the show. And I was like, God damn it, I want to know what happened on Club Penguin. Sierra was a little penguin slut. She was running around holding people's hands.
Yeah. All the time. I held all the penguins' hands.
You know what's so sad?
It sounds so wholesome though when you think about 2 penguins holding hands.
No, it really does. That's really cute. People used to play house and stuff, but when I was in elementary school, I really wanted to start a book club, and every month I would have a book club and no one would come. And so I tried to start a book club on Club Penguin, and it went like so unbelievably south so fast. It was like scary. It was like Predators. Like it was like I was running around soliciting people to do a book club with me, and then it ended up being like me and like 14 people. Like it was like a lot of people, and I was like, everyone's here for my book, but it ended up being like very weird, and I ended up like
always weird
telling
people.
my mom and like deleting the account and like having to start over. And I was like, book club is a failure. What is it? The library can have book club and everybody shows up, but when I try to have book club, people on Club Penguin are asking me if I can download Kick. You know, I don't understand it.
Oh my god. Well, at a future time in life, we would love to do a book club.
Okay, so you survived being catfished, and after all that, you found a wonderful woman. Tell us about Joey. How did you guys meet?
Oh, I'm just like gonna expose myself here.
That was really cute.
So
You went
embarrassing,
all,
and
like...
it makes me sound.
I loved it.
You know what?
love
it
love,
like
so...
popped into my head as you're saying that, and I love the story. So
It's okay. I promise I'm going to tell you the full version, which is even more embarrassing because Joe like put me on blast the other day. I had a friend from high school come visit. She like told the whole story and I was like, God, I forgot how like just I was in love. I don't know how to explain it. So I moved to LA like 3 or 4 months before we met. And I had just been, you know, single, beautiful, running around. And I was on the apps, you know, just doing my thing, and my profile said, you know, new to LA, not looking for anything serious, you know, just some fun, you know, living in Hollywood. And then I saw her profile, and like, I don't know, I think I was at a time in my life when I look back at it where I wanted to really give myself a chance. I think for a long time I'd been dating with the idea of like, I wasn't taking myself seriously. So I wasn't taking my partners seriously, and I wasn't taking the relationship seriously, just in the sense of like, I don't know, I just was like looking for just like something fun to do in the moment. And I wasn't necessarily like thinking that I ever wanted to get married and have kids and you know, do all those things. And I was just at this point where I realized like I'm happy with myself if I run around forever, but I think that I should give myself a chance to like really be serious about someone. And then I was like, well, I don't know anyone who I should be serious about, so I'll just keep running around until I find him. And I found Joey on this dating app called Tammy. Shout out to Tammy. It's like a queer dating app. It's honestly kind of sketchy, but whatever. Just like one of those dating
like
apps.
Any dating app though.
You just make a profile. Like, it's not like connect to your Facebook, you know, verify your ID. It's like people have screen names as their like names on the dating. It's like bizarre, but anyway, Joey and I were both on it. And
can I just, I'm sorry, can I point out that I love that as you were saying that there were police sirens in the background?
Yeah, literally.
I was about to be like, are you under attack? Are you okay?
Well,
no, so
after that app needs to be shut down by the police. That's exactly what it was saying.
Literally, they're going to like get another Tammy victim off the streets.
Oh.
Sorry, that was too dark. Another Tammy perpetrator.
No,
off the
there's
streets.
nothing too dark for a true crime podcast. You're good.
Fair enough. So anyway, so I saw her profile and I was like, she's beautiful. She has a motorcycle. I've always wanted to ride a motorcycle on the back. I don't want to like be in charge. And she like seems like, you know, she kind of has her shit together, and she seems like we had talked like, well, okay. First, I saw her profile said looking for something serious. And I was like, my profile literally says not looking for anything serious. So before I matched with her, I went in and I redid my whole profile. Like, I was just going to change that. And I was like, I'll just delete it. And then I was like, well, but what would Joey think, you know, about my interest being having fun? Like, you know, I was like, and so I revamped myself into Liz 2.0 because we can all shape shift on the apps, you know?
Absolutely.
And then we matched. And then we almost immediately matched on Tinder, like the next day, because we were on all the apps, both of us, looking for love. Joe, of course, was like actually looking for something serious. And I was like, and so, you know, we went on our first date. I was at a yoga class freaking out, telling my friend, I'm like, I'm not gonna go. I don't know this girl, And I was like, I'm scared. I've never been scared to go on a date before, but I'm scared because I don't know if I'm ready to like take myself seriously. And that was the goal,
Mhm.
But I did. So I took an Uber to the address she told me to go to. And I was like, well, okay, but meet me outside of your house, so that I know you're cool, and then we'll go somewhere. And she was like, okay. And so the Uber drops me off there's a gate, and then there's an alley, and there's like 2 houses. And she was like, I'm at the very back of the alley.
No.
You're like,
I was
no.
and I was like already panicking, and the Uber driver was like, do you want me to wait for you? And I was like, no. And I was like, fuck, yes. But as soon as he was gone, I was standing at the base of this alley, and then I saw her come out, and she was like, hey, and I was like, okay, it's fine.
Oh my gosh.
But it was there, and I told her, I was like, I want you to know, I like almost risked it all for you. I was like ready to just walk down the alley. But the other really cringy and embarrassing thing is, thank you. Yeah. I don't go into alleys for true love. Don't do it. Just have them meet you on outside of the
quick
alley.
PSA from Liz to our listeners. Don't do that.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
But the other kind of embarrassing thing, I'll tell you how I asked her to be my girlfriend, is I wouldn't listen to her music because I was afraid it was bad, and I liked her at that point. And then I think it was like, well, so I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like typically a lesbian first date lasts like 3 to 7 days, because like the girls do sleepovers. And so we just like kind of like hung out and watched movies, and like, she came to my place, I went to her place, so like spent a lot of time together, and just sort of like immediately just like were a thing, it just I don't know. But then I was like, I'm gonna listen to your music when we split, so I went home. It had been like probably 4 days, and I went home and I listened to her music, and I was like, I love your music. And then we had this deep conversation, and she was like, a lot of people, my dating history has been like me chasing after people and not knowing if they liked me back, or if they were, if it was reciprocal. And, she's more masculine. And like, I think in her experience, she is like always the one who has to make the first move, and it's an expectation. And I'm eager at this point. I like her a lot, and I'm like, I don't know how to date seriously. I've always been aloof, I've always been like, chase me, see what happens, So I was like, well, I like her music, and I want her to be my girlfriend, and I want to make the first move. So after 4 days of knowing her, I made Joey Unami t-shirts, like merchandise. I showed up at her house in a shirt with her name on it and her like music logo on the back. And I gave her a box of chocolates, because I don't know, with a note that said like, will you be my girlfriend? And I made her go into another room and open it because I was too embarrassed.
Oh my gosh.
It was like middle school.
So funny.
It was like middle school level embarrassing.
Sometimes love needs a little middle school.
Vulnerable. I felt so unbelievably vulnerable. That was like the beginning of my journey. And we've been together for she was like, she thought it was really sweet. She was like down to date and liked it. I could tell that she was like, this girl is weird, but in the best way.
Yeah.
And it's been 1.5 years, almost not 1.5 years, but it's been over 1 year, and we still love each other. And she's a musician. You can check her out at Joey Unami, like tsunami, but without the T and the S.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Okay. Tell us the story. This is going forever. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry.
For me?
Yes. Like, I feel like we've had
she looks like she's in her happy place right now.
I got chocolate. I have this like concoction where it's like 90% water, and then I put a splash of guava juice in.
Ooh,
Stop.
that sounds fancy.
The only thing I would be doing if I wasn't here is trying to catch up to my girlfriend in Pokemon. So this is good. This is better.
Okay.
I love you. That's awesome. Okay. So on May 31st, and I'm sorry guys, this is a bummer. It's believed to be an LGBTQ. It's believed to be an LGBTQI hate crime. And it is an unsolved murder of two beautiful women. So I just thought it would be a good episode to touch on because we have a super special guest with us today. That and Sierra and I do categories. So sometimes certain crimes don't always fit into them. So whenever we get the opportunity to do something outside of that, I take it. So without further ado, on May 31st, 1996, after Julie Williams didn't come home when she was expected to on the 28th, her father reported his 24-year-old daughter as missing. Sorry, I gotta move you guys to the screen so I can see you. Rangers set out to look for Julie, who had been camping with her girlfriend Laura, known as Lollie, Winans, 26, at the backcountry campsite in Shenandoah National Park in Virginia.
That's right.
Did I nail it?
Shenandoah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have this bad habit of looking up how to pronounce things and then forgetting about it when I actually go to read it.
You gotta like write it out phonetically.
I
That's
do,
what I do.
and I never do. That's my weakness as a podcaster. The next day, rangers found their bodies at their campsite. They had been bound, gagged, with their throats slashed.
No, Jesus.
I know it took a turn real fast. Both women were partially undressed. However, there was no evidence of sexual assault. Sorry. That's the downside of bubbly water. The women were
I thought you were
accompanied-
laughing for a second.
I know. You're like, wow,
You're
that's
like-
so
you're like
fucking
bound,
inappropriate.
gagged, murdered.
Yeah. Tee. No. It's actually an ongoing joke on our show that we cry a lot.
We do cry a lot.
That was the joke I made at her earlier about our bonus episode this month. Mine was a bummer, but hers was an extra bummer. So we were just like, sorry,
bad.
patrons,
We
you
cried,
guys
like, the
paid
whole
for
episode.
this.
Yeah.
But we never tell each other our cases, so it's like you wouldn't have known.
Fair enough.
The women were accompanied by Lollie's golden retriever Taj and had begun the backpacking trip in the national park on May 19th, 1996. They had planned to explore some of the beautiful parts of the Appalachian Mountains, with the trip coming to an end after the end of Lollie's school year and right before Julie was set to begin her new job in Vermont on June 1st.
What happened to the dog?
The dog is
Yeah,
fine.
that's it.
Okay.
The dog is fine. Don't worry. I would already be crying if the dog wasn't fine. I'm that person in movies that it's like everybody's dead, it's fine, but is the dog okay?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Their murders frightened hikers and wilderness enthusiasts around and caused many to call for authorities to investigate them as a hate crime. Because the victims were a lesbian couple in 1996 Virginia, this wasn't wildly accepted by everyone. Lollie was originally from Grosse Pointe, Michigan, born to wealthy parents, and was studying outdoor recreation at Unity. She was on track to graduate later that same December. She was
sorry, it's in my head now and I want to say it out loud. I know this is about lesbians and is not related to Black people, but to me, when I hear not accepted and in Virginia and
Yes.
love, it reminds me of the fact that Virginia is known as a state that is, their slogan is Virginia is for lovers. And it was because in that state, a white woman and a Black man legally married for the first time.
And wasn't
love
the
that
last
story.
name Love?
Yes.
So cute.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not crying. You're crying. Like, that's amazing.
Palette cleanser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. When was
Anyway.
that? What year was that? Do you know?
Listen, don't ask me history. I lived in Virginia. I saw the signs that said Virginia's for lovers. Oh my goodness.
Hey, I'm gonna give you a heads up. He's insatiable. Once he decides he needs to sit on me, that's it for the rest of the show.
That's okay. Hi, baby.
Oh, so cute.
I love him in his goofy eye. Hi, baby.
Yeah.
He's
Oh
so
my goodness.
handsome. He's bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah.
Or you're
huge, and he's all
tinier. One of the
muscle.
two. Aw. I love dogs that aren't lap dogs that think that they're lap dogs. Those are my favorite. Sierra's dog is like 4 pounds. Maybe.
Yeah.
Small. He's 20.
He's 20
Mhm.
pounds? Shit. He's so handsome though.
He like Joe is singing weird. I don't know if you can hear because my mic usually blocks out outside sounds, but just like I think she's cleaning and trying to sing opera or something. It's like bizarre noises are coming from outside. There's a lot going on in my house right now.
Oh my goodness.
That's so great. He's like, I need to escape. Mom, hold me.
Just like a stage 5 clinger. Anything happens, he's like, people are doing things outside the door and I can't see them. Mom, let me sit here.
Oh.
I'm scared.
Animals are better than
Ugh.
people. Nobody can tell me I'm wrong. Lollie was a free spirit. She was kind, funny, loved to be social, much like Liz's beautiful dog here. And she never felt like she fit into her stuffy upbringing. When she was young, she was sexually abused by a close family friend and struggled with this trauma for a really long time. She initially turned to coping with it through alcohol, but it was actually her love and her time spent in the outdoors that really allowed her to heal. Nature therapy, it's a real thing, guys. Get outside.
It is. I'm telling you.
She volunteered for a rape crisis center in Waterville and was planning to become a wilderness guide to help women who suffered from trauma themselves. Julie, on the other hand, was from St. Cloud, Minnesota. No, I'm not going to do it. She was a high-achieving student at Carleton College in Minnesota and a budding geologist. She was raised strictly Christian and had a really hard time coming to terms with her sexuality. She was passionate, loving, and very into music and the outdoors. She spoke fluent Spanish and really enjoyed tennis. The two women met as interns at the Woods Women, a now defunct outdoor recreation program in the Boundary Waters Canoe area of Minnesota. There, they learned to run wilderness trips for women and children. And so, for whatever reason, while I was writing this, because Sierra and I are big, nature freaks, for lack of a better word. And I was totally thinking about your school for outdoor recreation while I was reading this the whole time. I was like, this is so cool. Like, I love that they both did
It
this.
was lots of fun, for sure.
I did an outdoor adventures program where I took kids backpacking in the back countries, White Mountains in New Hampshire.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And I was like, there was definitely a culture like where I think a lot of queer women are like drawn to that nature side. I think because the appearance stuff isn't like, you don't have to fit in as much. You can be a little bit more tough and strong and people appreciate it. I know that I always appreciated strong women and I was like, I just thought it was so cool. So I think it's, I know the story gets real sad real quick, but
it started it off sad.
It's sweet that
but they were
each
pretty
other
incredible women. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. My degree is in outdoor recreation, so I love it.
This has been a case that's always stuck with me too because of the controversy around whether or not it was a hate crime or whether it was literally a wrong place, wrong time situation. But their spirits have just always stood out to me as like incredible, and that's something that Sierra and I always strive to do on the show, is if we can make it more about the victim than the perpetrator, we always try to. And unfortunately, depending on the circumstance surrounding the case, there isn't always a lot of information, but I included as much as I could find on them. So
well, it's kind of sad with like the it wasn't Lollie, the one that you were just telling me about. What was her name?
Lori.
I feel like with Lori too, it's like, you know, one of the Trevor campaign slogans is "it gets better," but it's like it's at the worst usually when you're like coming to terms with your sexuality and like wrestling with it. It's like, God, like I just want to.
I know, it's extra heartbreaking. Like it's extra like, ugh. Yeah. And it sucks too, because I know that a lot of, you know, especially really religious parents that try to be welcoming and loving to their children, no matter their sexuality. But I know for some parents it's really hard at first, and like you said, it gets better for most. It takes the parents time, but you never know, right? Oh, it made me sad. Yeah, one of my really totally random aside, but one of my really good guy friends, his mom kicked him out when he was younger because he was gay, and they were like very like strictly Christian, and it took her until he was 25 to be like, I was wrong and I'm so sorry. And he was so accepting and loving of it. And I was like, you're an incredible person. Like, so many people would have been hurt and just jaded and like, no, fuck you over that. But he saw that it took her some struggle too. So I think it's on both sides. And it just, me and Sierra talk about religion too much on the show, and our like animosity towards what it does to people and how it forces people to maybe be things that they aren't, or believe things that aren't true to who they are. So,
or do things that they wouldn't normally.
Yes.
I had like the
weirdest glue sticks.
Yeah.
What?
There's a cult episode that we just did, and the cult is like right down the street from me.
Oh, cute.
And they're related.
I love
to
you.
a
You're
murder.
like, yeah, wait, no, what?
They're related to a murder because they told people in like, what do they call it, congregation, it's a Christian church, but they told people to if you hit your kids with glue sticks, the hot glue gun glue sticks, it doesn't leave a mark.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah,
not a good look.
I had like the opposite, I feel like, religious experience of a lot of people with my like queerness, where I came out and I immediately had like a major fallout with my family. I like still haven't really recovered my relationships. You know, my dad and I are close, but it's definitely put some strain on other members of my family. And like I got like really involved in a church, and like I was like calling the pastor, like, and you know, she didn't have entirely helpful things to say, and I didn't always agree with her, but it was like so low, because you're like, I grew up kind of agnostic, and I was like, my like quote unquote higher power, like my God, has always been like just like doing what my parents think is right and being, you know, trying to just make them proud. And so that was like left this huge hole in my life. I don't go to church or anything now, but I think that spirituality it's like religion can be so toxic, but I also think that like spirituality can be so important if you're dealing with like the loss of your family.
Speaking our language, girl.
Or
my segment that I do on our Patreon is it's called Witches Wanted. I consider myself a witch, and my last episode was about the difference between religion and spirituality.
Poncho is very closed-minded about
he does not like witches.
Don't agree with that, Sierra.
Poncho's actually like a devout Catholic, and he can like barely deal with me, so just don't use the W word around him.
I'm so sorry that we've offended him in this
Go do 5 Hail Marys, okay? Go do some Hail Marys. Okay, thank you. Okay, back to the sad stuff.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yes. But
No,
spirituality
not
can
sad
be
stuff,
very
says
healing.
Poncho.
No,
Hold
he's
on,
like,
let me
I'm
just
done with the
evict him.
sadness.
Oh,
Give me just a second. No, there's a dog outside. I gotta get him out of here.
okay.
Welcome back. Even though it's despite the enormous investigative media and community response to the crime, the murders remain unsolved to this day. Although most people believe that police have already found their culprit. Even though it's been 25 years, officials from the Federal Bureau of Investigation still believe that the murders can be solved. They're hoping that someone in the area at the time might remember something, no matter how seemingly insignificant, and let the investigators know. As we always say on the show, somebody knows something. So just tell people what you know.
Does that mean when you say the FBI still thinks that the case could be solved, does that mean that like the case is open or is it cold? Do you know what the status is?
It's definitely open. It's definitely not cold. It's at a weird standstill, and I'll get to kind of why, but they had somebody that they had actually charged with the crime, and then somebody that they thought could have been a really good suspect for it. I think they're just waiting for the final pieces to kind of fall into place. So the investigators that took on this case are really passionate about it. They're quoted as saying, "We don't give up on our cases," and public affairs specialist for the FBI's Virginia office says that somebody knows something, and hopefully we'll do the right thing and call in the information that they have, because this public, like this national park, was pretty, secluded in some ways, but also there was like hundreds of people visiting and camping throughout it that entire weekend and multiple weekends before and afterwards. So it's not like it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody wouldn't have seen something or heard something or that kind of thing. So they're pretty actively pursuing it, and I really hope they solve it, because this one's always stuck with me. So they always thought it was cruelly ironic that women that were drawn to wilderness for healing and peace were brutally murdered there. So that kind of gives it like an extra little like, no, I need this to fucking be solved. Like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
An extensive search was done of the camp where the women were found, and their camera provided many photos of their hike and allowed investigators to piece together the paths that they took. If you search Lollie and Lori, those are the photos that come up of them together.
Julie, right?
Yes, sorry.
I was like, I think you're mixing two names.
I think I'm making a baby of the two names.
And Julie.
Yes.
Lori.
If you Google photos of them, those are the photos that you see. It's so cute, so like candid, like wind blowing up on the cliffs, like squinting because of the sun, and they're the greatest photos ever. So I would highly encourage you guys look those up. Obviously, we'll post photos on our social media and website. But yeah,
I'm looking at them now, and this is
so
like
sweet.
This is like the poster, like these are like poster perfect photos of like a good lesbian vacation. They're in their like comfy tees and their big pants. I should probably wait till the.
Do you live like next to a fire department?
Are you okay?
I was like, why did it just start up right outside of your house?
Well, I live near it, and I live.
Comical. How did you ever record?
There was a lot of this, a lot of waiting.
You know what? It's all good. Whatever you got to do for the audio, right? You said that they were the
you guys a heads
picturesque lesbian
they're
couple.
like the perfect like this is like my dream vacation. They're wearing like the funkiest sandals I've ever seen. Beautiful hiking boots, like the long sleeve under the t-shirt. They look so happy,
right?
And like just sweet. And oh my god, these are so cute. They're like hugging in the snow and then hugging on a mountain. See,
they're a beautiful couple. And I'm sure you may have seen Taj too. Taj is great. Little golden retriever.
He is not in a single photo that I see when I Google them.
No, their photos are really cute.
Oh my god, I found the picture.
Right? He's so cute. He's so handsome.
So handsome.
I know.
Aw,
Right? Sierra's looking too.
sad.
Right?
When I went to Google it, it said Lollie Winans dog. I was like, people were concerned about this dog. Okay.
Yeah.
I should have really included that in my story. So that's how they found them initially, was because Taj was wandering around by himself. So they found him before they found their bodies, which is really fucking sad. But it also points to a little bit of the psychology of whoever killed them, because some people will kill people and animals. Some people won't touch animals. Like Israel Keys always said one of his rules was that he wouldn't touch animals. So it just gives you a little bit of insight.
Even though he was one.
Yeah, exactly. The worst kind, though. Because Lollie and Lori had nothing valuable on them worth stealing, and the motive wasn't sexual assault, given what came back on the autopsies, the motive behind the crime was speculated heavily. The case drew the attention of the national gay rights activists, who believed that homophobia was the most plausible reason for the slayings, according to the 1996 article in Out magazine. And then we flash forward to 2002, 6 years after the murders. A Maryland man named Daryl David Rice, anybody with three names is no good, as we know, was indicted for the crimes. He was charged with indicted. Thank you. Yeah. I'm reading my own writing way too quickly.
It's okay.
He was indicted for the crimes. He was charged with 4 counts of capital murder, 2 of which alleged that he intentionally selected his victims because of his hatred towards women and gay people. And this is according to the U.S. Department of Justice. He has been convicted. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm trying to clarify, but I think your next sentence is about to clarify it for me.
He had been convicted.
He confessed?
No. So he was convicted of an attempted abduction of a female bicyclist in Shenandoah National Park in 1997. So a year after the women were found murdered. Given that this was the same park, this made him a plausible suspect for the case. He also acted in a hostile and violent manner towards women solely because they were women. He also made a statement that Julianne Williams and Laura Winans deserved to die because they were homosexuals. Yikes. Like, no, sir, just shut your mouth. So a lot of things are pointing it at him. Like, he's like, why are you so mad? Like, why do you feel the need to say these things? He could also just be an asshole, and it could just be a fluke that he tried to abduct another woman in the same park right before that. However, when questioned about this, he denied having been there any other day but June 1st, when the women were already dead, but he was seen visiting the park with friends on May 26th and again on May 28th, as well as June 1st. So the women were supposed to return
1996.
home. Yes, so he was in the park the same weekend, and the only day that he admitted to being there was the day that they were already dead. So it's a little suspicious, sir. And they know this because of surveillance cameras going in and out of the main entrance of the park, and they were able to run his plates.
Oh, thank God the cameras worked. When does that happen?
I know. I was actually thinking the
never.
same thing when I wrote my notes. I was like, oh, the cameras are working here. That's so funny that you say that. Security cameras never work.
They only worked in the 90s, like starting in 2000.
And then after that, they just never wanted to do the upkeep.
They're like, they're for
them.
looks. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, because it worked when they recorded onto VHS tapes.
Right.
And now they're like, well, it goes into the cloud and then the cloud gets full and it just wipes down. I don't know anything. What is a cloud?
I don't want to pay for extra storage.
You're like, this is really helpful, right? When me and my husband went on our honeymoon. I left something in the cab on the way down from the airport. Like I was all excited. I've never been to Hawaii. Apparently I've never traveled either. And that was what the hotel said. Like as soon as we got there, I realized I left it in the car, and I was like, "Oh, can you pull up the surveillance tapes for the front lobby?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, those don't work." And I was like, "So you could have seen the cab number that we got out of, but the airport ended up being more helpful."
Yeah,
but they have to be.
Yeah.
So yes, when questioned about this, he denied being there any other day other than when they were already dead. So forensics unfortunately lacked evidence and dropped their charges against him in 2004, just a month before he was scheduled to go to trial for the murders. There was a hair found at the scene that had been DNA tested and run against profiles that they already had in the system, but it didn't belong to Daryl Rice or either of the victims. So it could have, it was anticipated that it belonged to an unknown male. However, this could have been from either of their previous relationships. This could have been from a family member. This could have been from anybody. We as true crime lovers know that passing of DNA is really easy. If I were to give Sierra a hug, her hair would be on me, and if I was convicted of a murder, she would be questioned. Like, it's very easy to do. So it didn't provide any information, but it also didn't make it easier for them to pin it on him. So many people believe that the FBI did have the right guy and they had to let him go due to lack of evidence at the scene, but investigators leading the case do everything they can to keep the case alive and generate new information. The good news is that because Daryl Rice was never charged and he never went to trial for the murders of Lollie and Lori. Julie, wait, now you have me all fucked up. Did I write Lori a bunch of times? I did.
Only twice.
I'm a dick.
I only noticed it twice.
It's like I carried their like morphed name throughout my notes. Because of this, he can be actually charged properly with it, and it won't be a double jeopardy situation, which is a good thing. And I'm kind of glad that they dropped that instead of going to trial, because it would have never held up against a jury. A jury would have been like, there's nothing to say that he was there. Yeah, he's an asshole. He hates women and he said all of these hateful things. Maybe he was there those days, but so.
You can't prove it.
Exactly.
Not yet.
Not yet. Another person that could not be ruled out as a suspect was a man named Richard Ivantes. He was a serial killer who was tied to the murders of 3 young girls in 3 different national parks across Virginia. So kind of his MO. Before police got the chance to speak with him about his possible involvement in the murders of Lollie and Julie, though, he completed suicide. And this was the same year that they had brought in Daryl Rice for questioning in 2002. So right when they were kind of closing on anybody that could have been responsible, which isn't a good look, but also might be totally unrelated. That's the beauty of true crime. You never know. Investigators on this case hate the notion that 2 women were murdered simply because of who they loved or because of the fact that they were women. May not necessarily have been a hate crime. It may have been a crime of opportunity because there was lots of couples and groups and people camping in the park that weekend, and they just happened to be a group of 2 women. So, yes. Do you ladies have any thoughts and theories for me on this one?
I would really like it to not be because they were lesbians, just because I hate that could be anyone's reason. But it's 1996, so sadly, that could be a reason.
Right? Like they could have been hiking, somebody could have saw them hold hands and fucking lost it for no reason. There's no way to know.
I feel like, so that I have 2 thoughts about the hate crime theory. Okay. The first one is, I think if it was a hate crime, they would have had to like at least have had a conversation with the killer. Like I don't think that it would be that they saw them holding hands, just because my experience has been that like straight people, especially straight people who like don't have a lot of queer friends or are homophobic, will go to the ends of the earth to justify you being gal pals who hold hands and are like on a camping trip together as BFFs. Like, to me, I think for someone to be like definitively like these are lesbians and I'm gonna hate crime them, I imagine there might have been an interaction. And I wonder if maybe that's why the FBI is so like gung-ho on like, were they talking to people when they were hiking? Like, were they telling people about, you know, what they're doing and being really friendly?
Like that they're celebrating one girl graduating, the other one starting a new job. They're kind of like celebrating. They're getting to start in this new chapter. Or even just being like,
this is my girlfriend. Yeah. Because I do feel like, I don't know, to me, I think the idea of like a creepy stalker, like following them, I just feel like if that were the case, which it totally could be, I feel like then it's more just these are two women and there's no men around and I'm a creepy stalker.
Yeah, like I said, like they were just like an opportunistic, they're the least of my worries to kill them, as opposed to that group of, you know, like 6 people over there that are friends that came. Who knows?
And it also seems like hate crimes tend to be like groups, you know what I mean? Like agitated groups for the most part. Like if you look at like Matthew Shepard, it's like a lot of
there's like a group people kind of situation that goes behind it.
Whereas I feel like for someone to just like as one person murder 2 young women, it's got to go so much deeper. This is not like a
and we've seen from like multiple people that people just hate women, so
that too, for sure. My other thought is I want them to do the freaking genealogy test on the hair like they did for the Golden State Killer, find that motherfucker's cousin and figure out, you know.
But that's what I'm looking for. I want that too. And when I was doing my research, I was reading, because they've already tested part of that DNA, they only have a small sample left. So they kind of have to be careful on who they tested against and what database they tested against, because that's their only DNA source for this case. So
I know that like this is America and we have freedoms, but like, why are you keeping your DNA secret if you're not a fucking murderer? Like everyone should have to submit their DNA.
I agree. Okay? Everyone submit it to like 23andMe. Like, yeah, just do it.
Why not?
It's free to do it. They only charge you when you want to know about your family.
I feel like there's got to be a genetic like connection out there. Like I think if I was the police, I would be like, I know it's a risk, but I'm going to pull trigger because it's close enough to the crime that you could give closure to people that have had these questions. You know, maybe their parents aren't around anymore, but their siblings, you know, it's like people are still really affected by it. And if they wait another 25 years, you know, there's not going to be as many family people
left to get that closure.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like, why can't you test it against family members already? You have the active profile in your system now that you've tested it. Let's rule anybody out that it could be ex-boyfriends, people in their family, anybody that could have come across like.
I think if they just put it in like the ancestry thing, like that, literally just put it in. Doesn't that go against like anyone who's ever tested? You know,
anybody that's ever submitted their DNA. The last article that I found about this case was in 2019, and the Golden State Killer was found in 2020, I believe. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they might do that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I want them to do it. Those poor, beautiful women. Like, Taj, can you speak? Can you tell us what happened? God.
Oh. Have you guys done the DNA things? Any of them?
You know, my dad did, and he was like, guess what? I'm Irish. And then my mom did, and she was like, guess what? I'm Irish. and my mom and my dad's family are from the same small island in Ireland, which I was like, how small is that island?
Sierra and I
And
both
then-
had the same thought process. Like, where are you going with this story?
Oh gosh.
And then on top of that, this is why I'm like, I don't need it. I don't want any more information. I got enough information. My dad was like, well, we're way higher percentage than the average for Neanderthal. And I was like, good, great. So I'm like an incestual like caveman is what I'm getting from this.
Amazing.
And surprise, I'm white. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't need any more information from these people. But if I did get my DNA, if I ever did it, it would just be to put in a database. So if any distant relatives ever do a murder,
You're going down.
I have a question. Don't name names, okay?
Okay.
But if the FBI came to you right now and were like, look, we matched your DNA, you're related like to somebody who committed a bunch of murders, and we need you to tell us who it most likely is. Do you know who you would?
Oh, absolutely.
Sadly, I have so many who it could be. Like,
I think
my
think I have
family's
that
fucked
too.
up, distant.
Yeah.
That was a sad thing. But I have a palate cleanser for
Do
the
it.
end of this
Okay.
episode.
Yes.
We're going to talk about another segment from Human Seeking Human that I loved so much.
Before we get to
What?
that, I just have one quick missed connection that made me laugh so
Oh.
hard.
Okay, you go ahead and read that one.
Real short. So, to the girl that attempted a B&E this morning. Hi, I'm the guy whose house you tried to break into this morning around 9:30 a.m. in Moore on Gale Street. Our conversation was short. You said, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh," as you saw me staring back at you through the door blinds. Still, I feel we made a good connection. Separated by only inches, the door and the two locks that you were trying to pick. I gave you 15 minutes to make your getaway. You're welcome, by the way. I don't know if you were with a professional crew, but please don't try and break into my house again. I'd hate to shoot your cute freckled face. However, if you're for a legal encounter, I am game. You know the one.
Okay.
This person is asking for this girl to come over and just steal every single thing in his house after dinner.
No, I've never
Okay.
seen a misconnection like that. I had to share it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's good. That's good.
I kind of want to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that, like, maybe her parents used to live in that house and she was like, "Ugh, they locked me out again and I don't have my key."
Yeah.
She's just come back from California where she's been for a year and she's like, God damn it. And then
Stranger things
she
have happened.
picks the lock and she's like, "You are not my parents. What the hell is happening?" And she runs away.
That's possible.
But also, and the only reason this is even popping in my mind is because I was at Target yesterday and this woman was like jimmying a car handle and she was like, "What? Oh my gosh, this isn't my car. You didn't see
happened to
that.
me.
Don't tell
That happened to me
anybody,"
the
and
other
like
day.
ran to a different car. I was like, okay.
Oh my god, that happened to me the other day, and I looked up and I realized it was the exact same make and model of my car. And then I looked up, and I was like,
Oh
"Why
my
isn't this
God.
opening?" And then I realized they had a dog in the car, and I was like, "I don't own a dog."
Oh my god.
I like ran away
Gosh.
shitting my pants. I'm like, "I'm not trying to break into your car. I'm so sorry." I love that
That's so
underdog
funny.
syndrome though coming through, Sierra.
I
'cause
know,
it's
I
true.
always
It
do
might
that.
it might really be what happened. You never know.
Or she was a terrible thief.
I
Or
think
that.
it's very bold to try to pick a lock in this day and age. Like,
Yeah.
I had at my last apartment, I had 2 major B&Es. Like, my entire apartment was ransacked twice.
no.
And the
Sorry,
second
that's so
time it was by like
violating.
it was shitty. But the second time was like by a gang that had like recently robbed my friend at gunpoint, and like then they got caught. It was like a whole thing.
Sorry.
But I will tell
you have to write a listener story into the show. I'm gonna be so bold just to say.
Maybe I will. But you know what? Both times they just smashed a window. Like, to pick a lock is like
that's
so
true.
1700s.
Yeah,
that's
because you're giving more time in the public, drawing attention to yourself.
And I used to work in an escape room, and part of the culture of escape rooms is like there's a lot of people who are actually into like lock picking and stuff. So I knew this girl who like was a lock picker, like that was like her hobby. She would like pick all these complicated locks. And even as somebody who does it like on like a competitive level, like nationally, it was insane. It was like specialized tools and like just like 40 minutes to open up. Like by that time you could just kick the door really hard and it would come down. You know?
I'm gonna say that's not why, but I'm gonna say that's why I think that she must have like known the people who lived there at one point, because like apparently she cared about the door enough to not just break it, right?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Or you know what, maybe she was just really high and was like, maybe I could just get this door open.
Maybe she thought it was her own house. So the dream dates segment is where you guys would find I'm sorry that I say you guys, I don't know if that offends you. That's just I'm from Midwest, so that's what we say, and it's hard to stop.
I always think of that too. I'm like, am I offending people?
Yeah, it is where y'all find personal ads in newspapers, and for men seeking women, women seeking men, people seeking humans, right? And you share them. So I always liked in the beginning when you guys would do them for yourselves, because I feel like it gave us a glimpse, the listeners anyway, a glimpse into like what you like. So I wanted us each to come up with one here.
Okay, for the instructions.
Yes. So Alicia, did you find one for yourself?
Yes, and it's epic.
Awesome. And Liz, you found one for yourself?
All right. I found 3. And it was supposed to be like one for each of us, and then we would talk about which one was for each of us. So
I love that. I also did more than just find one for myself.
Oh, it's hard to stop one. I'm so selfish.
It is so hard to stop. No, you're not. Go ahead, Alicia. You go first.
I was like, I really wanted to find one. Obviously, I know Sierra really well, but I wanted to find one for you too, Liz. And then I was like, I don't want to be presumptuous and like offend her if I find because I am a naturally pleasing person. So
I literally wrote it in my notes. I don't know you, Liz, but I've listened to every single episode you did, so I think I found a good one.
Yeah. You know, there's this like, I feel like there's the illusion of like when you listen to someone's show, you feel like you know them.
Yeah.
But honestly, when someone tells me they listen to my show, I'm like, oh, you know me, we're friends, you know.
And I'm just gonna put this out there: when inevitably you listen to older episodes of Sierra and I, just know that we're less awkward now. Okay.
I've heard the dynamic now. It's wonderful.
We do okay. I'm always like we were really awkward at the beginning. I love us though. I do. We do good shit together. Okay, so
tell us your dream date.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily even my dream date. This Tinder profile was just fucking fantastic.
So. Oh, a Tinder profile. Oh,
yes.
Wowza.
Buckle up here, guys. So Garrett is 21 years old. He is a beer pong enthusiast, a Tinder scientist, and a booty wizard.
A booty wizard. That one's new.
Oh, it gets so much better. This is the most like type A detailed profile I've ever seen in my life. I actually feel like I should be showing you guys while I'm reading this. I'm gonna share screen here because you guys need to appreciate what I am seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's see Garrett, the booty wizard. Okay, let me know when you can see.
Oh,
Do we see our
Oh.
booty wizard
He
here?
has bullet points.
Yes, he
Did
has
he
bullet
made a
points.
PowerPoint?
Oh, there's a whole thing here, guys.
Oh
You
my
don't even know.
Okay.
I appreciated him too much. So, as you will clearly see with the provided visual aid, I like to do things. This is beneficial for you. When we go out to eat, I will be forced by societal rules to pick up the tab. Who doesn't like spontaneous beach trips? And it will do absolute wonders to your Instagram game.
That's
You
so
can get
true.
out doing things without lying by saying I'm taking you out. So this is his, it's beneficial to you because I am a social person tab. Then we get to style. Oh God. Then
Is this wait? Okay, I've never been on Tinder. Is this what Tinder is?
No.
I
Okay,
have no
I'm like,
idea.
He took
what
the
is happening?
section.
Yeah.
He took the section where you put your photos, like you'd have like one photo and then one photo, and he put PowerPoint slides.
Yeah,
in.
he went above and beyond.
Wow.
That's why I
He's either like
appreciate
husband
Garrett.
material
Or
No, he's a
maybe
serial
should be
killer.
in jail. Yeah.
Total same wavelength.
Okay.
He's good or he's scary. One of the two.
Yeah. Continue.
I've been called, so this is under the style profile. I've been called
Oh, this is
metrosexual.
good.
But wait, it's not what you think. I do not have sex with trains. It just means that I go to the salon instead of a barber. Why do you care? Well, we can go into expensive places and I won't wear a hat. I can actually buy you clothes as gifts because, he has good style. And other girls will think I'm gay and won't bother to pursue him.
Look at him. He's the whole
Cute.
package.
Oh my
Right?
god.
My
I don't
my
love
high
Garrett.
school boyfriend wouldn't take his beanie off for prom. Like all our prom pictures.
Was
has
he
his beanie
Jughead?
on.
Like, is that who you
was-
were
he was-
dating? Or
He was a horrible, horrible man.
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, not in like a traumatic way, just more in like a he wore a beanie to prom. Kind of
Yeah.
way.
But did he make a
Oh.
projected hotness scale for
He
himself?
would never do that. Didn't have the creativity.
Could not. Now, I'm no
I-
Hank Hill yet, but as projected by figure 1.1, yes, there's a figure 1.1. This one here, guys. This little early photo. I am projected to transcend human beauty as my age approaches infinity.
That's good.
No words, I know.
And we all know aging, it's just all uphill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's true. So I'm fun, stylish, and hot, but am I the real deal or a side bitch? I don't know what the yes is about because that's
No,
yes,
he's
that's the
saying
answer.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
he is the real deal. Yes,
And
he is
he's the
a
side bitch.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad I interpreted that correctly. So I am a computer science major, so I won't only fix your shit, but I'll love doing it. I can help you with math up to calculus 3 so far. My house has the most legit electronics and entertainment that I could find. I can make the YouTube loading animation play Snake, which is kind of
Me
awesome,
too.
actually. Oh, Sierra, you're gonna
You
have
just
to-
Google it.
Oh,
My kids do that all the time.
well,
They
Sierra,
also
you're gonna-
play the T-Rex game on the Google page.
I go to career fairs so that when I graduate, you can spend all of my money while I work from home and watch the kids. And if you drop your phone and crack the screen, I can fix it for cheap.
See, this is the problem. You're gonna work from home, you're gonna watch the kids, you're gonna fix everything, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. Why is no one with you? What did you do to someone? Oh, that's why.
So what are you waiting for? Other notable qualities and skills. Lead lifeguard for 2 years in case of emergency. Owns a heated blanket. Knows the rules to every drinking game. Voted most school spirit in high school. And pretty not terrible at sex. But he has a selfie here of himself, ladies, with some chain situation that says 2 chains.
You know what's hilarious?
So that's
He reminds me
Garrett.
so
I
much of one
respected
of my
the
high school
shit out of
boyfriends.
his profile and the effort that he put into it. He would not be somebody necessarily that I swiped on, but I respect his profile.
He is totally someone I dated in high school. So.
Yeah, I feel like I want to tell Garrett,
It gets better.
you should be also wondering what people are bringing to the table for you,
Yeah.
Yeah. Love
giving
yourself.
too much. Like
Yeah.
And you don't want to start a relationship by saying, I will do everything for you, because
That's going to land you in a whole other set of
want.
problems. Yep. That are going to mooch
Garrett,
off
respect
of that.
yourself.
Ah, Garrett.
Love
Agreed.
yourself.
Damn.
Agreed.
Okay.
So Garrett's kind of my hero
wait.
because of the effort he put into his profile.
So what did you
incredible.
bring, Liz?
All right. I brought 3 to the table. These
They're
are
amazing. And I'm
a
selfish.
stack. So 1, hey, don't talk about my friend like that. You're wonderful. 3 in a row. So they're like all in a column from the LA Weekly from 1993, May 20th. And I feel like the first one's kind of obvious, but the next 2, I was curious which one you guys think fits for either of you. So the first one is sassy tomboy desired, Sagittarian, single white male, 38 years old, 5'10", non-smoker, no kids, 5 feet 4 inches, hikes, coffee talk, galleries, dogs, gardens, David Bowie, Euro disco, Japan, the South, healthy cynicism, Cosmo woman, looking for a relationship, call me.
I don't know which of those things he's looking for and which of those things he is. I'm really confused.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wait, is he 5'10" or 5'4"? I'm confused.
Yeah. Does he want someone who's 5'10" or 5'4"?
Because if you want somebody that's either of those things, Sierra and I do not fit the bill. We are much shorter than that.
I love that he goes from dogs, which I feel like everyone has dogs, gardens, which I'm like, that's kind of cute, David Bowie, which I'm like, wow, and then Euro disco, Japan, the South. Healthy cynicism. Like,
you know what's funny though? I mean, of all of that, I don't know anything, but specifically when you said Japan and the South, my husband is from the South and is obsessed with Japan. So I was like, wait a minute, what's happening?
Is this Jesse's dating profile? Because he's 5'10". I'm not really sure what's happening here.
Right.
What was he doing in 1993? Preschool?
Pretty close to being born. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 5.
Amazing.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, give us number 2.
Number 2. And I just want to say for the last one and for another one, and just anytime you read newspaper personal ads, something that I always think adds an extra layer of funniness is like you pay per word.
Yes.
So like he paid for dogs, gardens, Bowie, Euro disco, Japan. Like, he's tallying those things up.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to respect the need to keep those in.
Okay, so the next one, the title is Save Me in big letters, and it says, save me from having to place this ad again. Single white male, 25, seeking artistic vampire, 19 to 35. I want to spend all eternity or some nights of distractions. Call me.
Okay.
I think the first one might already be Sierra's husband. So
right. It's possible.
Those are incredible though, Liz. I love it. We call each other energy vampires. Like you just suck it all up. So that kind of struck me as a keyword. I appreciate him for that. But also the 1900s, a little outside the box. I'm kind of scared also.
Well, you can spend eternity together, or you can just spend a few nights of distraction.
true.
Which I feel
That's
like is a
true.
wide range.
I love
It's
that.
a huge range.
You're like, I'm not necessarily looking for you to commit to eternity.
Would you describe yourself as an artistic vampire?
Yes.
I
and
mean-
no. No. I'm gonna go artistic for sure, but not necessarily
go.
solely as a vampire.
You're
I mean,
halfway
I'm
there.
very pale, so that may give people
You
the wrong
are. That
impression.
is totally yours.
That's
Yeah.
It
That's
already
your
made
dream
sense
date.
because the first one's your husband, so
Right.
I'll take a
So
What's left
vampire.
for you then, Liz?
Yeah, what do
Hear
you
me
get?
out. I was hoping that I could get the first one because this last one is bad.
Oh
all right?
no. Okay.
I was hoping to hoist it onto you guys, but it sounds like this is
Oh.
mine. So
Oh,
Here we
no, I'll
go.
give you the vampire. I'm good.
no. Well, you want to wait and hear this one, okay? Single black male, 5 feet 8 inches, in search of a quiet type volunteer position as a foot rubbing, back scrubbing, hugging technician
No.
for a sweet, sensible, independent, and attractive and affectionate female.
Seems like he's asking for a
Okay.
lot.
Foot rubbing,
Yeah,
Back
the
back
scrubbing.
scrubbing, hugging technician. What certification?
What
do you
is a
need for
hugging
that?
technician? Yeah, no, I'm curious. that struck me too.
It sounds like he wants like a robo sex doll.
Yeah. But I
Mm.
actually, while I was reading this, just had a complete perspective flip where I'm like, I think he's looking for a volunteer position. Like he's looking to be a foot rubbing, back scrubbing, hugging technician. And now he comes across as less of a jerk.
That's a whole new thing.
And he like misunderstood the
mhm.
assignment and didn't know where he was posting that.
He didn't want to pay
Exactly.
for those extra words.
Yeah, he didn't want to
explaining that
clarify
he's the
in
one
any
doing
way.
it.
Yeah, okay, then I'll take him. Absolutely.
Maybe
Your girl
by
could
being
go for a
vague,
foot
he's
rub.
really doing himself. Hell yeah. Maybe by being vague, he's doing himself a favor because it's like you kind of have to be okay with either way if you're gonna call, you know?
Mhm,
It's a
mhm.
little unclear. So maybe we'll both rub feet, you know?
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be
I
a
don't know.
wonderful
I
night where
can't-
you watch your favorite TV show and rub each other's feet.
I
Mhm.
can scrub backs in the shower. I can't rub feet ever.
Really? Good
I
to know
love
about you,
you.
Sierra. If I'm ever in deep need of a foot rub, I won't go to you.
Not me.
So what we have here is a foot rubber, a back scrubber, and then I'll be the hugging technician.
There we go.
We figured it out.
The trio.
My husband only likes foot rubs, so I mean, in terms of
There you
massages, he'll
go.
pick back rubs or foot rubs every time.
Yeah.
Gotten good at it with his
All right,
fucking
Perfect.
koala
Sierra,
toenails.
I'm so excited.
Okay. So the first one is for mine. And I found this in the city newspaper in Rochester, New York from 1983. And it says, my crystal ball tells me I'm going to meet a sincere woman, 38 to 35. She's fashionable, slim, about 5'4", and likes to camp, travel, quiet dinners, romance, skiing, movies, and more. It's hazy, but she may have children. She wants a permanent relationship. This 39-year-old, good-looking, physically fit, health-conscious, level-headed gentleman wants to know, is my crystal ball right? And I'm like,
that took a
this
turn.
is- yes.
I was gonna say,
Yes.
Sierra, did you grow and age all in the same paragraph?
Right? See, this is the issue. I'm a little too young for this guy, but if I could go back in time to when this was written, but also be in the future to when I'm 35 to 38, it's perfect because when I'm 35 to 38, my kids are about to be off in college. So like,
Mhm.
yeah, I have kids, but they're not around.
Mhm.
And my witchy self loves the crystal ball.
Mhm.
And also I love the confidence. He's like, I know I'm going to find you. I'm like, here I am.
Aw,
You know?
you're
I
like,
love it.
I'm right
It's
And
here.
he
amazing.
used a lot of words, so,
So
he's got
many
some money.
words.
Yeah, it's
He's
true.
I
He
love
paid
all of
for
these
all of
things.
those
He's
words.
splurging.
Yeah. This
Oh
is
my
amazing.
God, I love
That I'm gonna paint a
that.
picture I'm gonna paint a picture. No cost is too high. for
See,
this
can you picture
crystal
how much
ball
money
imagery.
Garrett would have spent on his profile for that? Like, damn.
Jesus.
That's
why he went to. That's why he took pictures instead of the words.
That's true. That's true. That's exactly what happened. When was that written? I love it.
1983.
I love it.
That's good stuff.
That
I feel like that's very
that man's
80s.
kind of my hero.
So while looking for this, I also found an ad that I'm pretty sure I wrote in a past life.
Oh, I thought you meant for real.
No. This is from
Her
the Oakland
witchiness is
Tribune
getting
in
too good.
I was like,
from the
how old
Oakland
did you say
Tribune.
you were?
in
28 plus
1928.
100 years.
Well, this is written in 28.
28.
Yes.
Holy cow.
1928,
Okay.
It says, lonely hearts, two sisters, Swedish, olive eyes, double chins, nice dispositions, would like to make the acquaintance of a young society man who can make shadows, do card tricks, operate magic lanterns, and read aloud from Police Gazette and Iron Age. Must look neat in straw hats and live in America. Signed, Daisy and Moll. And I think I'm either Daisy or Moll because like this is exactly what I want in a man.
Love them.
Be a society gentleman. You got to look good in a straw hat, and I want you to be able to make shadow puppets and do magic tricks.
And
me and my double chins
blogger
are just gonna be here chuckling.
Yes, it's amazing. The only thing I would change about that today is it has to be someone who is not American. Like, I don't want to live in America. Please take me out of here. Like, I'll go somewhere else.
I do like that there are like their requirements. They're like, oh, we'd like you to do magic, but you have to look good in a straw hat and you have to be from America.
Yes.
That's it.
Straw hats a must.
You must be really good for me to look at while I'm doing all of these tricks. Otherwise, no deal.
I love all the Lonely Hearts ads. I think the Lonely Hearts, it's so sweet. It's like, and I feel like, who writes a personal ad with their sister? That was only a thing in like the 1920s.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, it's creepy. Otherwise.
Well, they were like advertising themselves as like, well, if you don't like me, you like my sister. And if you don't like my sister, you like my cousin, you know, eventually you'll find someone, marry into my family.
Exactly.
We'll share. It's fine.
Are you sure that wasn't us as like a
that's what I'm saying. Like, this was, I am either Daisy or Moll, apparently.
All right.
1928, Sweden.
I'll take it.
Sweden.
I'll take a handsome man in a straw hat.
Okay, and then I did find one for each of you. Alicia, I'm gonna feel yours first. Apparently, I'm gonna read yours first because I feel like I know you well enough. And okay, so this one comes from the San Francisco Chronicle in 1913, which is a really long time ago.
Love that.
But also, I really love this one for myself as well, and we're just like the same person. So, it says, miner and rancher of fine character, habits and tastes, desires. Sorry, it was written really weird. Habits and tastes, desires refined, educated girl, 30 to 35, for life partnership on charming mountain ranch, an ideal life midst forests and streams, beekeeping, poultry, farming girl preferred.
Hell yeah.
I was like, yeah. And this is 1913, and he said for life partnership.
I'm allergic to bees, but everything else I'm good.
Can you believe a man in 1913 asked for a woman for a life partnership?
Yeah,
partners.
That's sweet.
What?
Love that vernacular for 1913. Not just I'm gonna spank you because you deserve it.
My mind when you said that immediately went to like, well, but how long was their lives?
That's true.
But I appreciate that they were partners.
Yeah,
for
they
all
were partners for as long as they were
lives.
together.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it though.
That's really sweet.
And then I have one more. It's a really short one. This one kind of could be for any of us, but I read it wrong, so I'm gonna read it the way I read it first.
Good.
This is from the Daily Journal in Salem, Oregon in 1900. And what I read was, wanted, an educated, refined young woman worth $20,000 who wants a husband who would be a good business partner, and then gives the address. I'm
Wait,
like,
what date was this written?
1900.
Yeah, so
November
$20,000
7th,
is a lot.
1900.
I would say I'm worth $20,000 right now.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Me
and this
too.
guy's like, I'm looking for a woman who wants a good business partner. Like, here I am.
Hell yeah.
1900 woman being your business partner? What?
I love
but
this guy. Yeah.
This
You
was
guys are
actually
gems, Sarah.
this was actually a woman who wrote this. So
A
she
lesbian?
wrote no, she wrote, I am an educated, refined young woman who is worth $20,000. I want a husband who would be a good business partner.
Oh, well, she's still looking for a business partner.
She
Liz,
is, but it's
get in
1900. She's
there.
not going to find it.
Hello.
Men suck in 1900.
Hello. I'm a man worth $20.
Yeah.
And I'm a good business partner.
In your time. That was great. That was really great.
All right.
Love
And then
that.
this last one is for Liz. I don't know you super well, but I listened to every episode you were in
So
of
you
Human
know me
Seeking
better
Human.
than most of my friends, probably.
And I feel like this is going to speak to you.
Okay.
So
I'm
this is from
excited.
the Weekly Arizona Miner from 1880.
Okay.
And it's called, the title is Girl Wants an Arizona Cowboy. It says, oh God, I don't know if I can read this. The postmaster is in receipt of a bold, frank, and decisive letter from a girl in Dallas, Texas, who comes out plain with the statement that she wants to correspond with a cowboy. The letter reads as follows, quote, Dear postmaster, if you will grant one favor for me, you will certainly make one little girl happy and make her think that life is not one damn thing after another. That solitary request is this. Won't you please give my name and address to one of your handsome cowboys? Be sure he is handsome, large, strong, well-appointed, with dark hair and eyes. You know, the kind of men a 17-year-old girl admires. Now, please don't make this for a matrimonial ad. I do not want to marry. If I did, there are plenty of men in Texas. All I want is to correspond with a cowboy. I have large hazel eyes, dark hair, a real fair complexion, am 5 feet 1 inch tall, and weigh 118 pounds. Thanking you in advance, I am sincerely. The girl with the hazel dark eyes is just a bit disconcerting in her statement that she is not floating a matrimonial ad, but just wants to correspond. Cowboys are not usually supposed to be long on correspondence. They are more likely to be long on good nature and short on billet something. This is a very old newspaper.
Yeah.
Perhaps the girl that writes the letter has aspirations of being the great American novelist and believes that she has a field in starting in on the much overdone cowpuncher and is taking this method of getting next to his inimitable lingo. Whatever her game is, she had better ship on her post office box number and get ready a dozen or so photographs for general distribution later on. That's the only way to get into this game, Mabel. And I was just like, Liz seems like the cowboy type.
First of all, cowboy type. Joey's from Arizona. Okay?
Hell
He rides a
yeah.
motorcycle. That's basically a modern day
horse.
cowboy. you might say.
Exactly.
But second of all, I love that this girl was like, I want to talk to a cowboy.
Yeah.
I want him to be hot, and I'm not looking for anything serious.
Yes.
And the person who wrote it was like, she's probably trying to be the great American novelist and study cowboys. Like, yeah, that's what she's
she
doing.
just wants to get laid, buddy.
Yeah.
Was she
A little
thirsty? Are you
she-
around to
yeah.
provide?
I feel like it's a little creepy that she's 17, but I also feel like 16, 17-year-olds are exactly the kind of
Yeah, they're
people
like
to be
maritable age at that year. Yeah.
Yes. But also, we don't know if she's 17. She said she wants a cowboy that a 17-year-old would swoon over.
That's
basically.
true.
So
That's
maybe she just means like, you know, I don't know, a young dude that 17-year-olds usually like.
When
I don't know.
I was 16, I had a crush on a guy in a rock band, and then he went to jail, and I wrote him letters in jail. Like it was like a famous, like Ronnie
What rock band?
Radke from
I love you more than I already did 5 minutes ago.
And I was like, I mean, like I was like, I'm writing a letter to my friend, and I put it in the mailbox, but I was like, dear Ronnie Radke, I'm 16, and I think that we have so much in common. Like, and I mean, I don't know if he ever opened it. He definitely never responded. He was probably like, this is a child. Ew.
He was probably like, I'm already in jail. I don't need another charge.
But like,
true enough.
But like the kind of insane that you are when you're that age too, where you're just like so confused. I would have like died
started on that level of
and
insane.
I'm a lesbian. Like I feel like my brain was like not functioning.
And I'm a lesbian. Oh,
I very much relate to that age and that level of insane.
Yeah. Boy crazy.
Yes.
Jonas Brothers crazy specifically.
That's good. That's really good. I really like those.
That.
I
so
like
much.
all 3 of those.
That is incredible. I misunderstood the assignment clearly.
Oh no, you're fine.
No, yours was solid. Yours like it was one, but it was a good one. It was like as long as all 3 of mine. It was like
fucking Garrett.
Multiple slides. Like my
crazy
hand motions for
slides. Anyway, before we go, Liz, I know that your podcast isn't fully up and going yet until you finish those seasons. So where can our listeners find you to stay in touch? And also Joey.
Yeah, so my personal Instagram is Pink Topics. I'm most responsive on there if you ever want to reach out with whatever. I mean, I love to guest, make new friends, and also just chit chat. Retro_ridiculous, which I always spell wrong, but it's RID, not RED. Retro_ridiculous is the Instagram where I'm keeping the spirit of human seeking human alive, with all sorts of fun old stuff. Joey is Joey Unami everywhere, on Spotify and on Instagram and everything else. If you want to check out her music, she's super cool. And I think that's really it for me. Everything else I'll just sort of be shouting out as I go along. Quarter Life Crisis does have 1 episode out right now on all streaming platforms. If you want to stay tuned, you can also follow and subscribe so that you get updates when we do release our next episode. Human Seeking Human is still available, even though we're not releasing new episodes. And that's my spiel.
Perfect. Thank you so much again.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's been a lot of fun.
So much fun.
Yes, we've loved having you, and keep that human seeking human spirit alive in yourself, and kill whatever you decide to do on Quarter Life Crisis, because we know you will, and we are so excited to see what you have in store for all of us and our twisted humans. So
definitely, whatever my next steps are, I'll make sure that I have you as a guest on whatever we're doing.
Oh,
because I love talking to you guys.
Yes, it was so much fun. Keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can also check out all of our sources and materials, as well as photos for the episode, on our website at twistedanduncorked.com. And you can follow us on social media at Twisted and Uncorked or Twisted_pod on Twitter. Thank you so much for all of your love and support, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode. Cheers!